Американская фирма Transceptor Technology приступила к производству компьютеров «Персональный спутник».
Attack, front to back, in this thing called rap. Nigga like a double rhyme double on a heavily level. Bang the bass, turn up the treble. Blast on mine day and night all the time. 714, wise the line. Maniac, radiac, winning the game. I'm the lyrical Jesse James.
Hey guys, what's up? In this video I'm going to be talking about institutions and how everybody should divorce the government. Okay guys, so in the West and around the world now, they want to create a one world government. So these people want full control and full power over the whole planet. Now that would be fine if they were like good people with good intentions, but they're not. They want to take all that massive amount of power and abuse people. In order to stop this, you have to divorce these institutions that they control. Basically, you have to divorce your government. In order to control the whole planet, I mean, the whole planet consists of different races of people, right? You know, in Asia, they got Asians, and Africa, they got black people. Middle East, they got Arabs. You know, Europe and North America, and Australia, New Zealand, they got whites. So basically, in order to control the whole planet, you have to control all the races. So in order to stop these people's plans of global communist dictatorship, the solution has something to do with the different races of people. So these people with this devious plan to have a world dictatorship, they realized that they had to, in order for it to work, they have to mix all the races up. And that's what you've seen increasingly in the West, is all the races being mixed up together. And because they want to be able to cross all boundaries and all borders in order to have power everywhere. If the races weren't mixing, they couldn't do that. Let me use black people as an example. Black people in the West are not in power, right? Black people are, they're probably the most disadvantaged people, or they have been in the past, because black people are not ruling themselves. Black people are being ruled over by people of other races. Black people are being ruled over by strangers. So black people don't control the government. Black people don't print the currency. Black people don't determine what's taught in the schools. So black people are in a bad position in the West because they're not in control of everything. They don't control their own destiny. They're not in charge of themselves. They're not in power of themselves. Yeah, I'm just using black people as an example. It applies to all races. So basically, all the races should only be ruled over by institutions that are controlled by people of their own race. So for instance, black people, you should not allow yourselves to be ruled over by, for instance, white people. I'm white, and I'm telling you that you shouldn't be ruled over by my race. But like I said, this isn't a video about black people. I'm just using black people as an example because they've been the most disadvantaged of all the races from what I've seen. So what all races should do, but I'm going to just use black people as an example because they've been the most disadvantaged. So black people, you should have a territory of your own that you're in charge of. You're the boss. You're in power. That means black people are in the government. Black people print the currency. Black people are in charge of everything. All the policing. Black people are policed only by black cops. Basically, all the institutions are controlled and operated by people of your own tribe. Basically, so you're not ruled by strangers. And that goes for all races in the planet. I'm not saying other races shouldn't be friends. We should all definitely be friends. I'm talking about who's in power over you. I'm talking about government institutions and stuff. I'm not talking about everyday people and what they do. I'm talking about who should govern you, who should be in power over you. So in order to stop this world communist government, you have to break up the world into smaller pieces and don't let everybody everywhere, man. For instance, black people. Most people, I think, they think, oh, okay, black people, they own Africa, right? Africa's their territory. That's where they originate from, and that land is theirs. So black people in Africa, you should not let people of any other race rule over you in Africa, period, anywhere. I know I'm not talking about Northern Africa. Northern Africa is Arabs. I'm talking about the places that are occupied by black people in Africa. So black people in Africa, you shouldn't be ruled over by people of any other race. So for instance, in South Africa, white people built up South Africa and they created the big civilization there. But white people shouldn't be in charge in Africa anyway. I don't think it's I don't think South Africa is where white people should be in power. Black people should be in power in South Africa, right? Africa's black people's land. Now that doesn't mean that white people can't be there. I think what that means is that the institutions, they should be controlled by black people in Africa. I do agree with that. Africa belongs to black people, right? So that means if you're white and you live in Africa, that means you're going to be ruled over by black people because it's their land. And if you don't like that, then go to somewhere where white people control the institutions. And that's the way you could look at it. Like South Africa, for example. Black people control the institutions there. And if you're a person of another race, then you're a visitor there, and you're under the rule of black people because you're a visitor and it's their land. Like another example is like in the West now, they're sort of the institutions, the government institutions, they're all race mixed. So it's like all the races are in the government institutions. And what that is, that's a way to take over the whole world because you can control all the races. Basically, like if anybody has a problem with it, they can say, like for instance, let's say, let's say Latinos have a problem with being ruled over by the Canadian government. The Canadian government can say, what do you mean? There's Latinos in the Canadian government. Or, if blacks complain about it, they can say, what do you mean? There's black people in the Canadian government or whatever. All the races are in the Canadian government. So they can rule all the races. When the Canadian government or the Canadian institutions, black people don't control them. Black people don't print the currency. So black people could be a lot richer if they would become independent. So basically what that means is they control their land, right? They control their own country. They control all the land, all the natural resources. They print the currency. They control the government institutions, policing institutions, everything. You'd be more wealthy if you did that instead of being ruled over by people of other races and they're in power and they're in charge and they get all the money. You'd also be safer. A lot of black people are being abused by the policing institutions and they're being shot and killed all the time. Now, I'm sure if all the cops were black people wouldn't be targeted like that. They'd be safer. So yeah, like I said, I'm just using black people as an example. If all your institutions are run by people of your race, no matter what race you are, that means generally you're going to be safer because you can't be abused by another race. And you're going to be richer because your race is in control of issuing the currency and all the land and everything like that. That's how you check this world communist government. You have to be ruled over by your own race. And you have to reject institutions that are run by people of other races. Now, that doesn't mean you hate other races. And besides the point, that's how human beings have evolved this whole time anyway. People were always ruled over by their own race. This new situation we have going on in North America where the institutions are all race mixed, that's a relatively new phenomenon, guys. That historically hasn't been the way things have gone. And what's happening is these people are in their secret societies, the people who control Freemasonry, they've seized complete power over the whole world because people are allowing these foreign institutions into their land and their territory. And they're allowing themselves to be ruled by foreigners. And when I'm talking about institutions, I'm not just talking about government institutions. I'm talking about religious institutions too. Like, for instance, black people in Africa, they should have never let Christianity into their land. That was just a way to brainwash you with the ideology of foreigners and seize power over you. As an example, Black people, you should divorce the government. Create your own government where it's all black people. Then you take control of your currency and create your own policing institutions, which are all black police officers, so you don't get abused by people of other races who are trying to dominate you. And this goes for all the races. That's how you check this world government communist fucking conspiracy to control the whole planet. Because guess what? There's going to be no place that's safe for political dissidents if the whole world is controlled by a communist dictatorship. Everybody on the planet is safer if you break the world up into smaller pieces. You can't have some corrupt psychopaths in control of the whole planet. You know what I mean? There has to be places of safety. There has to be places where these corrupt psychos don't control. And the way that you do that is you get all the races to govern themselves. And they have their own territories where you don't let this race-mixing one world United Nations government in to have power. Then you have lots of different people in power, right? Instead of having one group having totalitarian communist power over the whole world, you break it up so there's lots of different power groups and you don't get abused. And if your government does start abusing you, then you can flee to another country that's not controlled by them. So that's how you stop a one world communist government. Don't allow race-mixed governments to control you. Because race-mixed governments, they're allowed everywhere, right? If the whole world decides to be ruled by racially mixed governments, that government can go anywhere. A racially mixed government could rule over Africa or Japan or India or wherever. And then the people at the very top, they can rule all the races and they can rule the whole planet and instill communism and take away everybody's rights and treat all the lower classes like shit and abuse and murder people like they're secretly doing now. You haven't put any checks on them. They're allowed everywhere. You know, United Nations, for instance. Stop allowing the United Nations into your country. The United Nations is a foreign institution. The United Nations are strangers. They're foreigners. Stop allowing these world institutions into your land, man. The United Nations are basically, they're invaders trying to take over your territory and tell you what the fuck to do. They're trying to rule over you and be the boss. And you don't need them to be the boss of shit. You don't need them. You can rule over yourself and have your own institution rule over your own land. If you want to meet with the other, countries of the world, you can do that. But you don't have to let in some world institution. See, that's what the United Nations is. It's a world institution. And that's how they're going to bring in communism. So wherever you are, whatever country you're in, you need to reject the United Nations. The United Nations is just a way for these power-hungry psychopaths to gain complete and total power over the whole planet. And they don't have good intentions, guys. So, stop being ruled by strangers. Stop being ruled by foreigners. And rule your own people, man. Whoever your people are, whatever race of people you. And the race is the best way to do this, because we all evolved in different races, different tribes, and we all had our elders. Like for instance, let's say Native Americans. Native Americans would have they'd have a village, and then they'd have an elder, and the elders were the chiefs. That's how everybody evolved over the planet in our different tribes, and we held our elders. Now what they've done, they've created these things called governments. So instead of having your tribal elders who you actually know, are related to, you have these strangers that are in these institutions called governments, and they're ruling over you, and they don't have your best interests at heart. Divorce your government. Divorce your government institutions. Okay, peace out, guys.
So please, stay off my back, or I will attack, and you don't want that.